Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we uncover the leadership life hacks that help you to experience breakout performance faster and rocket to success. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rimbach.
Call Center Coach develops and unites the next generation of call center leaders. Through our e-learning and community, individuals gain knowledge and skills in the 6 core competencies that is the blueprint that develops high-performing call center leaders. Successful supervisors do not just happen. So go to callcentercoach.com to learn more about enrollment and download your copy of the Supervisor Success Path ebook now. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, today I'm excited because I have somebody on the show today who's really going to bring some emphasis to the human-centric leadership that we talk about on the Fast Leader Show. JT McCormick shouldn't have succeeded. He was born in a mixed-race son of a drug-dealing pimp father and an orphaned single mother on welfare. He was raised in the slums of Dayton, Ohio, suffered incredible abuse and racism, and had multiple stints in the juvenile justice system. He barely graduated high school and has no college degree, but succeeded he did. Starting by scrubbing toilets, JT hustled and worked his way into better opportunities, eventually finding incredible success in the banking and mortgage industry. He was on top of the world. And then the mortgage industry fell apart. He lost his job and literally all of his money. He had to borrow from his friends to make rent. He was nearly back to where he started with nothing. But this time, he had something that he didn't have growing up in the slums of Dayton, and that was the knowledge of what it takes to succeed. JT used his setback combined with what he learned as the springboard for him to reach even bigger heights. He worked his way from being the lowest paid employee to the president of HeadSpring Software, which he helped grow to a multi-million-dollar 100-plus person company that was repeatedly ranked as one of the best places to work in all of Texas. Currently, JT is the president and CEO of Scribe Media, a publishing company that helps you write, publish, and market your book. The company has worked with more than 1,000 authors, and Entrepreneur Magazine recently ranked Scribe as having the top company culture in America. JT is the author of I Got There, How to Overcome Racism, Poverty, and Abuse to Achieve the American Dream, where he talks of poverty, starting from his career cleaning toilets and eventually becoming the president of multiple companies. He has mentored at-risk youth in the juvenile justice system as well as youth in low economic communities. JT's work has been featured on CNBC, Entrepreneur, Forbes, Inc., and many others. He lives in Austin, Texas with his wife Megan and their 4 children, Ava, Jackson, Ellie, Jace, and he's here to help us get over the hump.
My man, Jim, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, I've given my Legion a little bit about you, but tell us what your current passion is so that we can get to know you even better.
Wow, my current passion, man. My life comes down to, I call it my pillars, five pillars in life: God, health, family, business, and investing. So if it doesn't fall within those 5 pillars, I don't do it. I love golf. I love to go out and play a round of golf, but it takes about 4.5 hours to play a round of golf. I much rather have that time to spend with my children. So until I can put all my children in golf lessons, we're not playing golf right now. So my passion are those 5 pillars, and that's what I stick to. I love football, but unless Tom Brady's going to send me part of his $20 million contract, I really don't care. So I focus on my pillars, and if it falls outside of those, I don't do it.
You know, I think, thank you for sharing that, and talking about those 5 pillars and the focus and the execution is something you talk about in the book. And for me, I have to say that having the book and getting the opportunity to really understand some of the things that you've experienced in life and how we have talked about how that gets incorporated into the culture of your business is vitally important. But you start the book talking about mentoring, young men, 15, 17 years old, and talking about this speech that you gave in this juvenile correctional facility. And for me, I think it's really important for us to talk about how that parlays into what we find in the workplace today, as well as how it impacts the customer and the customer experience. So if you could give us a little bit of insight into that and how you feel that that's translated into your business.
Yeah, but as far as the mentoring and the speech, how that's transferred, it's I said this to a group of CEOs one time. There are about 250 CEOs in a room. And I started off my keynote speech and I said, okay, how many people in the room know how to perform brain surgery? Any neurosurgeons in the room? Of course, nobody raises their hand. I said, how many people in the room can launch and build a rocket? Any aerospace engineers? No one raises their hand. And then I followed it up with, see, we don't know what we don't know. Unfortunately, the communities of where I come from, there was a lot that we didn't know. There's how am I supposed to know that I can be a barista when there's no Starbucks in the communities where I'm from? How am I supposed to know what organic food is when there's no Whole Foods in the communities in which I come from? So what my point being is, even when people are entering into the workplace for the first time, there's many things that you don't know. And we take for granted that people are supposed to know these things. So when I mentor the high-risk youth and I go in, the first thing I said, okay, today we're going to work on shaking hands. 60% of these kids, they put their fist up and they want to give you a fist pound. They don't even know how to shake hands. And the ones that do, they give you the limp shake, they look down at the ground. But it's a travesty, and I'll share this as a factual statistic. 40% of all graduating high school students, regardless of where you fall on the economic ladder, 40% of all graduating high school students will never go to college. Yet and still, we send you out into society with the expectation that you're going to be a productive member of society, and we don't even teach you how to shake hands. So it's such a, excuse my language, such an backwards thing that we're still teaching you what Columbus Day is when we know damn sure he didn't discover America, but we don't even teach you what attention to detail is. We don't teach you high interest loans. We don't teach you how to shake a hand. We don't show you a certified financial planner that you can go become one without ever needing to go to college. So, doesn't matter where you fall on the economic ladder, you don't know what you don't know.
I love that you bring that up, because it's funny that when we start talking about customer experience, when we start talking about customer service, and even when you start talking about, some of those kids that do go on to college, a lot of them don't even make it. They drop out.
Right.
So we have this large percentage of folks that we are expecting to deliver a Ritz-Carlton experience who don't even know what the heck a Ritz-Carlton is.
Exactly. And I'm going to pause there if you don't mind, Jim. You brought up customer service, customer experience. Here's what I think is just mind-blowing to me. We have all heard this. We strive for customer satisfaction. I think J.D. Powers even calls our customer satisfaction survey. I find the term customer satisfaction to be deplorable. Who the hell wants to be satisfactory? If someone says, ask my wife, hey, how's JT as a husband? I don't want her to say he's satisfactory. If someone says it to my kids, hey, how's your dad? Oh, he's a satisfactory dad. No, so I find the whole term of customer satisfaction to just be asinine. It should be customer fulfillment. How fulfilled are your customers? How fulfilled are we call them a tribe, others would say employees or team members. I don't ever want you to be satisfied. I want you to be fulfilled in your career. I want you to enjoy the work that you do. I want our customers, our authors, to be fulfilled in working with us. So customer satisfaction is just a ridiculous way to look at that. That's what we're striving for, satisfactory. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, okay. So when you start talking about that not making sense, what also doesn't make sense is that we can continue to try to improve the performance and lead people who are actually delivering that experience. So there's a lot of people in our society who have grown up, with some of the unfortunate circumstances that you grew up with, right? Half siblings, illegal things flying around left and right. But luckily you found an Uncle Bobby who was a mentor to you. All of us need a mentor and somebody to help do what you're talking about, guide us. And more people who are in that leader role, especially frontline leaders, have to really start focusing in on improving their skills and abilities to lead those people, and knowing that we're going to have to do some pretty basic things like teaching people how to shake hands.
Right, right. Teaching, we do master classes here at the company with Scribe. We'll do master classes on how to write an effective email, how to communicate on the phone. And those are very important skill sets because many people have not been taught those things. I'm incredibly fortunate that I'm surrounded by people. So our company, we've got 50 people now. I am the only person in the company that doesn't have a college degree. And 75% of our tribe members have master's degrees, have some type of additional education. Then we've got people who have gone to Harvard and so on and so forth. And I've asked each one of them, where did you learn attention to detail? None of them learned it in college. So it's one of those things that it's such a basic thing that will help you be successful that we don't teach. So you nailed it. Those frontline encounters and interactions and lessons that we can provide for each other in the workplace, that's what helps you be a great company. And it's never, I say this to people all the time, it's never one thing. It's a series of things that you have to do over and over and be repetitive, consistent, and just, it sounds mundane, but those are the things that help you grow as a company and as a person.
Well, and as well as, thinking about this and going through the book and learning about your life experience, and also how that connects with what we've been talking about, is we have to build the ability for people to deliver the tough love like your Uncle Bobby, right? So having the Uncle Bobbies in our world, having the people who could not pity us, but help guide us, is vitally important. So how are you bringing that into Scribe?
For me, one, I take my past. I made a decision a long time ago that I wasn't going to be a victim of my past. My dad was a pimp and had 23 children. And yes, I was sexually abused and sexually molested by one of my dad's prostitutes, but I made the decision not to be a victim. I can't change the past, but I can change how I view the story. And what I mean by that is I choose to take the positives from those harsh lessons that I went through the chaos that I went through. One of my favorite, this lesson has served me so great throughout my career. And I do bring this into our culture and our company. When I was a kid, I was 8 years old. Oh, Jim, I was 8 years old. My dad had me one weekend and we're walking through the grocery store. And I'm 8 and a little girl walks past me. She goes to school with me and she says, "Hi, Javon." My real name's Javon. I didn't say anything. I put my head down and I was shy. My dad smacks me in the back of the head. I fall to the ground. My nose starts bleeding. He snatches me up, and then he's got me pinned up against the frozen food door. And he's like 2 inches from my face. And he says, "I don't care who it is. You say hello and show respect and be kind to everyone." Jim, to this day, I say hello, show respect, and I am kind to everyone. And that was such a valuable lesson. And where I take it a step further is I'm actually more kind to service industry individuals, housekeeping at a hotel, the person that's taking your ticket at the movie theater, because rarely do people even take the time to say hello to those individuals. The restroom attendant at the airport, I'll say thank you. Restroom looks nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm nicer to those individuals than I am any founder of a company, any CEO. Those people have enough individuals kissing up to them, but we'll just overlook housekeeping and not say hello. And sometimes you can make a person's day with a simple hello and a thank you.
If you say that, I think that's also a character reveal. There's a couple people who I've had some business, dealings with that are in, the customer experience industry who, dared to tell me stories where they didn't do that and were quite proud of it. And I'm like, you know what, we're not a right fit.
No.
I had to exit, and sometimes I didn't do it fast enough, to be honest with you. But talking about knowing where I stand in my 5 pillar, your 5 pillars and things like that. For me, as I've gotten older, it's knowing that, hey, there's certain things that I need to take a stand for. And you know what? I need to be okay of the consequences as a result of that. And, making sure that everybody is treated, in that way, and that I'm not the one. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Have I, done wrong? Absolutely. I mean, is it intended? Absolutely not. But I think it's an important character reveal. And that's something that we can also look for when we're bringing, tribe members in.
Yeah. So, here's one, Jim. This one always, I laugh about this. I don't understand it. All of us in business have probably gone to a lunch or dinner that cost $150, $250. Hell, some of us have spent $500 on a lunch or dinner, a business dinner. But we'll just stay with $250. Now watch this, Jim. We'll spend $250 on a business lunch. We leave a 20% tip. That's $50. We're paying $50 to the person who took our order. And if you're at a place that costs $250 for lunch, I promise you the person who took your order is probably not the person who brought your food out. It's usually a different person. They'll come out, they put it all on the table, and then the person that took your order will come in and say, how is everything? How's it look? So we'll leave $50 tip for that person that took our order. But here's what's amazing to me. We won't leave $3, $5 for housekeeping at a hotel that these individuals clean the toilets that we sit on. God knows what takes place in some of those beds. We don't even leave $3, $5 to housekeeping who are making $10, $12, maybe $15 at best. And if we took the time to leave $3, $5 tip, that $5 tip may take an individual's child out for ice cream. Gas right now here in Texas is about $2 a gallon. That $5 may get put 2 gallons in the tank to get that person to work the next day. And they clean the toilets that we sit on. But we'll leave $50 for a person that took our order at a restaurant. I do not understand that.
Okay, so I think hopefully you just changed a societal norm, because many of us probably didn't even think about that. And I do also know that there's certain things from a cultural perspective, where you don't tip at all, right? If you travel globally. And so some things that in our society we do, and other places they don't. However, I think one of the things that's critically important is for us to become more aware. I think that's really kind of the message that I get from you, is that we need to be more aware of our impact and our effect, and how that can impact other people's lives. So thank you for sharing that.
Our impact, our effect, and you nailed it. I really appreciate that term you just said, aware. We as a culture, we as a society, we're humans for one. So we tend to be selfish because we're humans. It happens. But when things go wrong, or you're having a tough day, or traffic's bad, we tend to be frustrated. We're upset and we're angry. And I say this to people all the time. It's up to you as an individual to change your mindset. And I've been on this big kick lately. I call it the 1 mile radius. If you're frustrated, you're angry, you're pissed off, whatever it is, go stand outside your office, go stand outside your house, and within a 1 mile radius, there's somebody that will trade places with you in a heartbeat. And so I look at that as well. It's up to us as individuals to keep things in perspective, regardless of where you fall politically. I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're Republican, put that to the side. The fact of the matter is, there's a single mom right now with 2 kids walking 1,100 miles from Honduras to try to get into this country and create an opportunity. On my worst day of being sexually molested, on my worst day of going hungry, I have never had to face that. So I keep it in perspective, that I say to myself, okay, there's someone trying to get into this country to create an opportunity. Damn it, I was born here. I've got a head start. So I keep things in perspective.
I think that's a great point. I mean, for those that have actually been birthed here or are here now, we have opportunities that others just never have. But you talk about 4 pathways for people who are less fortunate, and how they see their way to be able to get out. Okay. You took the 4th, right?
I took the 4th. No one told me about it. I stumbled upon it, but yes, where I'm from, there were 3 avenues: rapper, athlete, or drug dealer. No one told me about business, entrepreneurship. I mean, Jim, if someone would have said entrepreneur to me at age 15, I literally would have thought you were speaking a foreign language. And no one told us or tells those communities of where I come from about that fourth option. And Jim, let me say this as well. This is very important to me. So we like you said, I'm mixed race. My father's Black, my mother's white. But when I say low economic communities, unfortunately, most people hear that and they think Black community, they think Latino community. People tend to forget there's West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi that are full of low-income white communities. Broke does not discriminate. Poor is not racist. And so, you don't know what you don't know, regardless of what color you may be or what race you may be. So unfortunately, from those communities of which I come from, no one knows of these other options. No one knows that they can be a pharmaceutical rep. Like, what is that? No, people have no clue. So I'm big on, if I could, the sweeping change I would make within our educational system is I would add a class your freshman year, and it would be called show and tell. And not like for my 6-year-old where she brings her favorite toy, she shows you, she tells you about it. No, your freshman year, show me how to shake hands, tell me why it's important. Show me a financial advisor, tell me how I can become one. Show me attention to detail, tell me why it's important, so on and so forth. And especially for inner city kids or low economic kids, because there's so many things we just don't know. You and I were talking before we came on. How am I supposed to know that I can be a barista when I don't even know what the hell, there's no Starbucks in the community. How am I supposed to know what organic food is when there's no Whole Foods in the community? So, how am I supposed to know I can be a bank teller when the only thing in my community is a damn payday loan place? So it's, you don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately, like I said, in those lower economic communities, there's just a lot of things that we don't know.
Yeah, and as you're talking, I'm starting to even think about going back to the whole, 5-star experience. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, there's very few people who've had that experience. I mean, across all different types of economic spectrums. Of course, the lower ones, but there's middle ones who've never done that either, and we're expecting them to do that. So, therefore, when I even think about Scribe, winning and being recognized as the best place to work, how does that happen? And how do you maintain it and sustain it?
Again, it's never one thing. It's consistency. It's the way we approach everything. So I'll give you a few. You heard me talk about customer satisfaction. So that's one right off the bat. We never want people to be satisfied. We want you to be fulfilled. We want to go that extra mile. What's that look like? A lot of the things that we talk about internally, great example. No one works for me. People work with me. I'm no one's boss. I'm no more important to the organization than everyone else within the culture. Here's another big thing. You hear this in corporate America a lot. They say they want to attract and retain the best talent. I don't want to retain anyone. That sounds like we're going back to the slavery days where I'm going to retain you. So the way I look at this is we want to offer and provide. We want to offer you a great career, a great place to work, and we want to provide you a career that if you so choose, you can retire from Scribe. You can grow your career here, you can learn. So all of these little pieces make a difference in how you approach the culture. And like I said, a big one, here's another big one. I refuse to say human capital. That's just horrible. Sounds like we're trafficking people. And we are very conscious of how we approach it. We don't train people. We teach, coach, and mentor. You train your body, you train horses, you train a dog, but we teach, coach, and mentor. So it's a holistic way of how we approach our culture, how we do business, how we interact with individuals, but it's never one thing. I get so many people who say, well, JT, give me one thing that you guys do. It's not one thing. It's consistency. It's day in, day out. It's being willing to call out each other on a cultural principle or violation of one of those principles and values. And then number one of all of it is we always put people first.
Okay, so as I'm sitting here and thinking, and unfortunately, we still have this continued argument where people say, I don't understand where it translates directly into revenues. I don't understand where it translates directly into profitability. I mean, it's an intangible. And for me, I call hogwash on that. But for you, for somebody who's sitting in the top seat, What have you seen that translate into from an organizational health, wealth, and prosperity perspective?
So first and foremost, how you treat people, in my opinion, is how they will also treat people externally. So if we treat our tribe members well, then they're going to treat our authors, our customers, well, in addition to how they're being treated. If you treat someone horribly, that's going to reflect externally to your customers. Someone's going to have a bad day because you're treating them bad, and it's going to reflect on a phone call, an interaction, whatever the case may be. So I truly believe in putting people first. I operate on a very simple, because there's not a lot of academic gifts going on up here, so I keep it very simple. I call it the 3 Ps: people, process, profits. You find great people, you can build great process, you can make great profits. So many companies put those out of order. I've had people challenge me and they'll say, oh, JT, process is first. My argument is you can have a flawless process. You put bad people in it, they will wreck your process. Give me great people, we can build great process, it will equal great profits. That I keep it that simple. I don't make business complicated.
Well, I think that's an important point, to be honest with you. I think we have a tendency to overcomplicate.
Totally. And we have a tendency as humans, individuals, especially in our society now, we want to automate everything. Everything's got a process. We have totally left out the people relationship factor in this. Most people, the default is to send an email, send a text. No, the default for us, pick up the phone. And if you can, let's do it in person. There's nothing that's ever going to beat an in-person conversation. There's nothing that's going to beat a phone conversation, but we default to email. And it's interesting. We help people write their books, but I'll argue with anyone. When you receive an email, words on the screen are words on the screen. There's no inflection point. There's no care. There's no dialogue. I can't have a conversation with you. If I see your words on the screen, I can't respond and share my thoughts with you. Then I got to respond in email. Then I got to wait for you. Whereas I could have put all of that to bed on a 3 to 5 minute phone call and built a relationship as well.
I'm glad that you say that, because you and I have talked about this as far as the maturation and the people who are now in the workforce and how they're being, influenced to do certain things that society tells them to do. I talked about my kids, and so my daughter wants to send me a text on something like, oh no, I'm not texting you about it. And we're having a conversation. It's like, no, I can just text it.
Right.
No, you don't understand. I'm not having that conversation.
It's interesting as well. Especially, so our average age here at Scribe, there's 50 of us. Our average age is 35. And we've got a huge amount of people who are still in their 20s. And one of the very important things that I say to our tribe is, do not let Facebook and Instagram define success for you. So many people are looking at what someone else has achieved or what someone else has taken a picture of and posted versus sit back. What are your own 5 pillars? What are you committed to? Don't let someone else define for you what success looks like. It may not be making 6 figures. It may not be millions of dollars in a big house and cars and things of that nature. You may have a different definition of success, but you've got to figure out what that is. And don't let social media dictate or define what success is. And more importantly, here's a hot topic, Jim, you know this one. The whole work-life balance thing, I call complete, beat me out if you need to, I call complete on it. We all have to work. We all have to make a living. And it's not work-life balance. It's just life. We're all going to go to work. The key is, and what I find so offensive about this, Jim, here, get this. You see, I get worked up about it, is whenever you hear someone say work-life balance, immediately it goes to work. don't work, the 4-day work week. Don't work 60, 70 hours a week. Don't pick up your phone first thing in the morning. Work, work, work. No one ever says anything about the life balance. How about you not binge watch Friday through Sunday and not get anything accomplished and have the audacity to wake up on Monday and complain because you don't like your job? How about you don't stand in line 24 hours for the new iPhone that does 2 new things than the phone you already have? And here's what's crazy to me. When's the last time you've ever heard someone come up and say to you, oh my God, Jim, man, I binge studied my 401k and financial future the whole weekend? No one. But they'll tell you they binge watch Game of Thrones all weekend. So it's accountability is such a big part of what we preach within our organization. It's actually one of our values is accountability.
I love that you shared that because, it's true. It's like, hey, okay, what have you spent the last 3 hours doing? Snapchatting your face and sending off messages? Come on.
Taking a picture of your food. And here's the thing that kills me. People will take a picture of their food, and you and I both know this. No one ever gets it right on the first picture. So you take 2 or 3 pictures. Then you got to upload it, put it wherever you're going, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you want, you're putting it. And here's what's crazy. Then you put it, you've posted it, you set your phone down, and every 3 to 5 minutes thereafter, you're picking up your phone to see, oh, how many likes did I get? How many hearts? How many comments? And at the end of the day, what's it matter? What did you get from it? And that's how I approach life. What does this do for me? How does this get me closer to my goals? How does this make me a better parent, a better husband, a better CEO? And if it doesn't, I don't do it.
Well, and to me, this goes back full circle. This is the core of what we need to start doing from a leader perspective, is having these conversations, setting these expectations, and getting people to do something that's going to impact their ability to help others. It's not the binge watching thing and all that. So, for me, when I start thinking about all those, you talk about the passion and inspiration and focus and all that. And one of the things that we look at on the show are quotes to help us do that. So is there a quote or 2 that you like that you can share?
Oh man, a quote. I don't generally have quotes, Jim. I have things that that I live by. They're usually more of a story. And so I'll give you a great example. I just despise the term fail fast. Man, given my background, where I come from, Jim, I've spent my whole life trying to learn faster. I don't want to fail fast. And one of the greatest things that I ever read in my early 20s, I read the book Think and Grow Rich. And there were 2 specific stories in there. I'm going to paraphrase them that stood out for me. So they're not quotes, but these were very impactful stories. The first one, they said that Thomas Edison took 10,000 times to figure out how to discover electricity, the light bulb. And it talks about, did he fail 10,000 times or did he find 10,000 ways that didn't work? That phrase alone changed my whole mindset, because I started to figure out that, it's not about failing. You can make mistakes, but the key is to learn, grow, and not repeat those mistakes. So for me, I believe you only fail if you stop trying. If you stop trying to learn and grow, then yes, you fail. And I'll be fair here. I've got a lot of failed relationships because, we broke up, we're not together anymore. Okay, great. But, I made a lot of mistakes as a first-time president of a software company, but you only fail if you stop trying. So I made those mistakes. I learned, I grew, and I made sure that I didn't repeat those mistakes. So that was a big one for me. I just refused to say fail fast or, failure. And Jim, see, you get me fired up, Jim. So here's the other thing that goes with mistakes that we as a society that I call one. We'll tell our children, we'll tell our tribe members, you learned the most from your mistakes. But here's the damnedest thing. Go to LinkedIn, go to any blog post. No one's sharing their mistakes. You can go find it. It'll say, top 5 things Jeff Bezos does to be successful. Top 10 things Steve Jobs did to be successful. Okay, that's great. Where's the top 10 mistakes that they made? Because if we truly learn the most from our mistakes, then why the hell is no one sharing mistakes? So from my position in leadership as a CEO, I share mistakes that I've made throughout my 25 plus year career. And I do my best to show others that, hey, here's what I did wrong. Here's what I said wrong. Here's what I should have done, so on and so forth.
Well, and so for us, we do share those on this Fast Leader Show, and we talk about getting over the hump, because that does happen. If we share those mistakes, hopefully someone will learn by it and not repeat it, right? That's what history is supposed to do for us. It's not making everything look like it's just total bliss and have rose-colored glasses. It's the reality. So is there a time where you've gotten over the hump that you can share?
When I was a first-time president of a software company, that was when it first hit me that you need to trust and depend on people to be successful. Up until that point, most of my career was spent in sales and in a very individual, what I call individual sport. You just had to worry about you. It's kind of like golf, it's just you out there. Whereas in business, you have to depend and trust on a group of people. And so the big hump for me, the eye opener was, and this actually goes into the second story I was saying with Think and Grow Rich, when they said, paraphrasing, Henry Ford was on trial because they said he wasn't fit to run a company that big because he only had an 8th grade education. They said, Henry Ford, you're not fit to run this company. And they were asking him question and question and question. And he said, look, I assure you, for every question that I don't know the answer to, I am surrounded by a group of people that have the answers that I can summon and go find the answer. So to me in leadership, I looked back and remembered that lesson, and I figured out really fast, I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. My role as CEO or president is surround the company with people far smarter than myself, rule number 1. Rule number 2, surround myself with people far smarter than myself. And then rule number 3, repeat rules 1 and 2. That's all I got.
Well, I mean, arguably what you just said right there, there's a lot of people who are sitting in Hall of Fames of all kinds of different, sports as well as business, who have done and learned how to do exactly that. There was actually a story that came out that talked about the people who were the Nobel laureates, the ones who actually got or received recognition, for their expertise. They weren't the smartest ones that were actually in their discipline, but what they learned to do is what you just said.
Yes. Matter of fact, Jim, this is great. So, matter of fact, one of my favorite people in business was George Westinghouse. Many people don't know who that is. So Thomas Edison discovered direct current. George Westinghouse discovered alternating current. And so these guys went back and forth, but I'll fast forward. Thomas Edison had a group of people that worked under him, with him, and for every patent that they went and received, he made them put the patent in his name. George Westinghouse had a group of people that worked with him, and every time one of those individuals discovered something, he let them put the patent in their name. So he was people first. He's also accredited with the founder of the modern day weekend, because back when Westinghouse was around, he was also in a time period of your Vanderbilts, your Carnegies, and those gentlemen worked 364 days a year. Westinghouse was the first person who said, you know what, I'm giving Sundays off and I'm giving half days on Saturday. And it was unheard of. But he was all about putting people first. And he realized, if I surround myself with people far smarter than myself, I take care of those individuals, I serve and support those individuals, that's how you become great. And I'll be damned, when he passed away, 50,000 people went to his funeral, and they all pitched in to create this bronze statue of him. No one did that for Thomas Edison.
That's a great point. And again, another one of those wisdoms that you shared that I appreciate. Okay, so talking about your journey, and first of all, I want to stop and take a special note. I don't always do this, but if you have not learned about JT's McCormick story, you definitely need to pick up the book, I Got There. And I'm going to mention that again and again. Okay, so JT, when I start thinking about the mentoring that you're doing, your 5 pillars, working, do what you're doing with your tribe at Scribe, growing the business, all of those things. I know you have goals. So if you could share one of those that's important to us.
If I passed away right now, I've always said to people, the one word that I would want to describe me is fair. That I always took the time to listen to someone else's point of view, that I always took the time to try to understand it from someone else's angle. I was always fair. And so the legacy that I would want to leave is, was I fair, and did I do everything I possibly could to support the growth of others? Did I give back? Yes, I want to be the absolute greatest husband that I can be, the greatest father that I can be. But I also want to be able for people to say, I gave back, I did for others. I learned what that fourth option was, and I didn't keep it to myself. I went back and I shared the fourth option. And I said, hey, this capitalism thing that our country seems to demonize right now, hey, you figure out this is one of the greatest things in the world. Capitalism took me out of my circumstances. Capitalism has provided me a phenomenal life, and capitalism is not a bad thing. You can be conscious in capitalism. You can do good with capitalism. And in fact, it's funny, capitalism builds wealth, it builds money. But you know what? I can do more with money to give back to communities, to teach others, than I can being broke. And, I've heard so many people say money is the root of all evil. I have never met a person that was rich go rob a liquor store, but I know a lot of broke people that have robbed some things. So it's money's not the root of all evil. Not having money, it creates a lot of evil. And so for me, the legacy that I would want to leave is much like George Westinghouse, is what did you do for others to help improve their lives, to teach, to share, to help grow? That's what I would most want to be remembered for.
And the Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best. Now, before we move on, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. An Even Better Place to Work is an easy-to-use solution that gives you a continuous diagnostic on employee engagement along with integrated activities that will improve employee engagement and leadership skills in everyone. Using this award-winning solution is guaranteed to create motivated, productive, and loyal employees who have great work relationships with their colleagues and your customers. To learn more about An Even Better Place to Work, visit beyondmorale.com/better. All right, here we go, Fast Leader Legion. It's time for the Hump Day Hoedown. Okay, JT, the Hump Day Hoedown is a part of our show where you give us good insights fast. So I'm going to ask you several questions, and your job is to give us robust yet rapid responses that are going to help us move onward and upward faster. JT McCormick, are you ready to hoe down?
Oh, man, let's do it.
All right. So what is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
Myself.
And what is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
Best leadership advice I've ever received? Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Never be the smartest person in the room.
What is one of your secrets that you believe contributes to your success?
That I'll ask questions and I'm not embarrassed about it.
What is one of the tools that you use that helps you lead in business and life?
That helps me lead in business, surrounding myself with great people that are far smarter than myself.
And what would be one book that you'd recommend to our Legion? And it could be from any genre. Of course, we're going to put a link to I Got There, as well as Think and Grow Rich on your show notes page as well.
Think and Grow Rich is definitely one. And I would say from a leadership perspective, if someone's interested in it, American Icon by Alan McCauley. I may be butchering his last name, but the book is called American Icon, and it's about Alan McCauley and how he helped turn around Ford.
Okay, Fast Leader Legion, you can find links to that and other bonus information from today's show by going to fastleader.net/JT McCormick. Okay, JT, this is my last Hump Day Hoedown question. Imagine you were given the opportunity to go back to the age 25, and you can take the knowledge and skills that you have now back with you, but you can't take it all. You can only take one. So what skill or piece of knowledge would you take back with you, and why?
I would take back humility, and I would take back, the reason why I would take that back is to realize that given where I came from, I grew up in chaos and it was all about me. I had to get out, I had to survive. But at 25, knowing what I know now is surround yourself with people far smarter than yourself, surround the company with people far smarter than yourself, ask those questions. That will take you so much further in life than trying to attempt to do everything yourself, because you can't.
JT, I had fun with you today. Can you please share with the Fast Leader Legion how they can connect with you?
Wow, the best way to connect with me is through LinkedIn. In fact, every Tuesday I share some of my mistakes or advice that I have on LinkedIn. So that's the best way to find me, or you can go to scribemedia.com and find me there.
JT McCormick, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump. Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.